First up, hi everyone. This is exciting.
Hello. Hey, Claire.
Hello. So I wanted to share where we're at, and we are just about, I'm planning on this next week, really starting to market all of you and all of everything that we've been creating at Mediation Express. So thank you for taking the time to meet here this morning, because before we do that, I figured it makes sense to make sure that, you know, all of your information is correct, that kind of stuff. I don't have any major typos in your names or things like that. So let me show you where we're at. And what I would like you to do, if it's okay, over the next few days, is peek at your bio and send me any updates. So again, if I've misspelled your name, if you want to update your photo, anything like that, if you could try to get that to me within the next week, so that by Wednesday, I'm going to be working with Small Business Administration, with some different realty groups, and really start to push forward on those fronts. We have had some cases trickle in, which is fun, but we're about to really start ramping up with Google AdWords and starting to hit the individual practitioners, but then also start to ramp up with larger groups and start to hopefully solidify some of those contracts so we can start to see a heavier volume of cases come in. But again, we want to make sure everything's ready so we're not just taking the traffic and driving it off of a cliff. So here's what we have. Again, the website, mediationexpress.com. So you are welcome to bookmark that link. And right now we are focusing on, again, these three areas: property, e-commerce, and workplace. Some of you indicated what your interests were, so I tried to make sure I had you in the correct panel. Some of you I just guessed. So if I guessed wrong, please let me know. So as an example here, I'll click on property. And so in property, we have described some different disputes. If this is your expertise and you feel like I've missed something, again, please let me know, but we've indicated what are some common disputes here. And then we've requested that people choose their panelists and then choose their time. So you can see a list of panelists here. And so again, I think that these are the property panelists. If you want to move around, please let me know. And then to see your individual profile, you can do that here on Team. So for instance, Lucia, if I want to see Lucia's profile, I can click here. And if you want to start marketing your profile page directly, absolutely, please do that. That's a win-win for all of us. Your individual website is this, mediationexpress.com/yourname with hyphens in between your names. So Kevin, for instance, you would be mediationexpress.com/Kevin-Rom. Okay. And so, yeah, we're going to start marketing that. If you want to start adding that to your website on your end, great. And if everything looks good, then this is the link that I'm really going to start bumping up. I've kind of had it hidden up till now, where it says schedule mediation session here. So that's going to be the big glowing orange button that we're trying to get everybody's attention drawn to. I wanted to say something else. Oh, and as you'll be able to see on your profile pages, I have removed your individual addresses and I'm just keeping city, state, and country, right? I think it's helpful for people to understand where you're from, especially as we're looking at property and real estate disputes, because they might want someone who's familiar with their area or familiar with their country if we're talking about workplace disputes. And I think it's also helpful to consider time zones, right? So that if they do want to do a synchronous mediation, they'll know, okay, is this mediator getting up at 3 in the morning to try to talk to me? So those are the things I'd like you to review. Look at your page. Let me know if everything looks correct. If you want to update anything, now is the time to do it. And again, if you could get that all to me within the next week, That would be amazing. Then it will give me a little bit of time to update things over the next few days before we start to really present you to some of the big dogs. So that's what
Claire,
we're doing. Yeah, go ahead.
I take it that this is not self-configurable at the moment. Is that correct? All has to go through you?
Well, this part does. Yeah.
Okay.
The Mediation Express site does. The Simply Book Me site, that is what I've given you access to. So that's where you can log in and update your calendar, things like that. Yeah, good question.
Yeah, we are feeling an enormous amount of pull in the landlord-tenant space, obviously, and we're trying to focus on the commercial side of it. There's just I think we all can see there's a big wave of those cases coming. So there may be a lot of those cases coming in. So we want to make sure that we know, who wants to take those cases. I think also there's a question of, what kind of background information do we need to have in order to effectively handle those cases. So that's another thing that we're putting some time into as well, and we'll continue to communicate about that. But we're focused on all three categories, but it may be that the property stuff is where we get the biggest pull over the next few weeks.
And we are putting together, we're planning on doing a training in the next, I don't know, we need to plan that out, Colin, but probably in the next couple of weeks.
Sure.
And I want to limit that to just about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. I know some of you have experience, but this will be more of a, here are the main types of issues we expect to come into Mediation Express, and here are some suggested resolutions. So for those of you who are interested in this type of work, it might be a good refresher. Yeah. So we're still trying to finalize that. So ideally, I didn't just make a promise that I can't follow through on, but hopefully that will happen in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, so I know that we have another call. I wanted to give you a quick break before that one started. Just wanted to catch you up to speed with where we are. And again, please communicate with me as updates roll out. I will be sending those out to you, but I would like this to be a monthly check-in if that works for all of you, and just let you know, here's who we're planning on focusing on this month. There's one more piece I wanted to say. So I have another page that's not live yet, but I'm starting to figure out, because as we've talked about, after workplace property and e-commerce, our next plan is to start to look at the family divorce arena. So again, this is not an active page, but I wanted to start to figure out who's interested in this world, right? So for those of you who are planning on doing family divorce type disputes, please let me know, so that over the next few months, as we start to build out that site, I have the right people on that panel. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, another thing, thank you so much, Claire, and I want to open the floor for people to chat. We're going to continue to have these presentations from sort of ODR leading thinkers. We had the Dave Larson call last week, we have Ethan this month, and we have Gene Sternlight coming up next month. But we were also thinking about convening a time just for practitioners, online mediation practitioners, to sort of have an open forum where we can sort of communicate with each other and talk about how things are going. Is that something that would be of interest to everyone? I know, okay, well, I see a lot of nodding heads. Again, that means less prep necessarily in terms of an agenda and content, but it would just, we'd all get together and say, how's it going and what experience are people having? Actually, Patricia and I had an opportunity to chat a little bit this morning. We were talking about some of those things. We were discussing the Frank Burke article about how people are breaking their mediations into many, many more meetings, shorter meetings. And it would just be interesting to talk with everyone about what's your experience with that? How's that working for you? But it does seem like that's something that would be of interest. And then obviously that would be a smaller group and we could just open the floor and come in and chat about things. So does anybody have any thoughts or suggestions about that? Should we make that an hour or 30 minutes or what, or create, what are your thoughts around how that could work best?
I think you're going to need an hour with.
I think a minimum.
Yeah.
Okay. An hour sounds good.
Yeah. I think
But no more than an hour. That would be
No
great.
more than an hour.
Yeah.
We got lives that we need to focus on. Yeah. So an hour, I mean, I know we do the first Thursday is usually the presentation, the content oriented presentation. So maybe this forum could be the last Thursday or something like that. And then we could make it sort of a recurring thing. Did I characterize that right? Our thinking around how this gathering could work?
Yeah, yeah. And if it works best for you, let us know. If it's easier to just block out one Thursday morning, maybe we could try to continue to meet like this, where we meet for an hour ahead of the other call. So we want to make sure this is a time that works for all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm finding too much Zooming in one session is a lot. So
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good. Hold on, I want to peek at
I see
Sharon's
Sharon.
question.
Yeah, a couple things here in the chat. Wow, Mike, you've done 4,000 divorces. That's an impressive number.
That's sick, isn't it?
I didn't know that there have been 4,000 divorces, so it's impressive that you mediated them.
Oh, that's just in our county. It's over
Wow.
30 years, but you
And
know,
that's just his own.
so far, knock wood. I've not had to experience that.
So, Mike, are you at like Democratic headquarters in El
Okay,
Paso?
I was going to apologize for that. My office doubles as a Democratic Action Center. So last night was our last meeting, and so I put my Biden sign up. This morning I didn't realize it was up until I logged on. So if anybody's offended by that, well,
We can
No
meet.
letter to the office.
I'm not gonna take it down now because I outed myself. So there it is.
That's fine.
Yeah, take it down before your mediation today.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Especially in this community. Yeah.
Yeah, true. And if we've been having fun exploring what we think are the best paths for this, for Mediation Express. But again, these are a lot of fields that I'm not an expert in, right? I'm not an expert in property disputes. Obviously, Colin's an expert in e-commerce disputes. But if there are any great paths that you would recommend that we're not thinking of, absolutely tell us, oh, you should contact this group, or you should contact so-and-so over at this office. You know, we would love your suggestions as well, because I feel like we're kind of all in this together, making sure that it's a success.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Please.
Barbara.
Reason to think that the eviction cases are likely to come through us, as opposed to a panel being established state by state in order to do that?
Good question. So I agree. I think that eviction cases are definitely on the horizon. And so what Colin and I have been talking about is there's a woman that we're planning on bringing in probably part-time. And I think that's probably going to be her main job. We need to talk through that a little bit more, Colin, but probably just contacting states and local centers and connecting them up with Mediation Express that way. And I think what we want to do is probably start with the states that you all are in. So we've started to research those and find out who is around you, so that your local, I don't know, landlord group or your local eviction group can be connected with Mediation Express.
I mean, this is one thing that I found as we do outreach about this is there's this massive wave of eviction cases that are about to hit. And I worry, you know, our focus in Mediation Express is we want to get paying cases, you know, so we've been trying to focus on the commercial side.
Right.
You know, and I think actually, Sharon, I'd be interested to hear your experience with the foreclosure mediation program, because, you know, that was a similar kind of crisis. This one's going to be probably a lot bigger than that. And a lot of the cases that we're hearing about, you know, these are people, they don't have money to pay for mediators. Now, we don't envision Mediation Express being a volunteer mediation program. You know, the point is we're trying to drive cases where they can pay those upfront fees and then pay the full hourly rate for a professional mediator. So that's why we're focused on the commercial side. But definitely the need is massive on the individual tenant side. And we're looking at programs like Rentervention and Just Fix in New York City. They've got a lot of automated things that they're doing to streamline resolutions in these cases. So it's not that we want to ignore the need. It's just a question of what kind of caseloads do we want to build.
Yeah.
I'm on the foreclosure mediation panel here in Nevada also.
Sure. Yeah.
Great.
Well, and it's problematic, but I think there might be pay sources to establish a panel, and that would be partnering with Legal Services Corporation or exploring, talking with them. But the difficulty with legal services always is the income guidelines. So even if you could get a grant for a pay source, it's more work for the mediator to make sure they qualify. And then I just have a shout out to the group. If anybody's doing customer surveys, I would love to have a copy. I'm trying to gather.
Sorry, Sharon. We are now going to start to have more people join in who are joining in for the Ethan call, which are not necessarily our Mediation Express panelists. So that's something to pay attention to. I didn't mean to cut you off, Sharon, if you wanted to finish your thought. But yeah, I want to underscore the point that Claire makes, is that we're working hard to try and roll this out. And now that we've gotten sort of all of our ducks in a row, I think the time has come for us to start to do the promotion. We have cases come in all the time to mediate, and they aren't qualified cases, so they're all different kinds of cases. I mean, you would be amazed at the range of things, people who have contacted us and the kinds of disputes that we get. They don't necessarily fit into neat categories. Every dispute is kind of a snowflake. So trying to build a process where we can bring those in and qualify these leads and then make sure these are real valuable cases, that there's some work associated with that. So we're trying to figure that out right now. The way Mediation Express currently works is anybody can come to the website and say click schedule a mediation. So for instance, we had a panelist contact us and say, hey, I just want to do workplace cases. I'm like, well, we don't really have, anybody can come to Mediation Express and click schedule a mediation. We haven't done a full intake with them to see what kind of cases they are and, have they talked to the counterparty and all of that. So learning that's going to need to happen, but I think it's time to turn on the spigot so we can learn from the income level.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
I just asked a question about the referral process, because Claire, you sent me a referral, which I don't know if that came through Mediation Express. To my knowledge, it didn't, and I contacted the party. I don't know if that case is going to go anywhere. I think they're actually looking for a lawyer, but so I responded to him by email. They're in Istanbul, I believe. So is Mediation Express up and running now? Because I tried to book a session with myself, and just to see how it worked, and it said basically it didn't look real to me. It looked like I got the time, but the fee was $1, and so could you just kind of say where it's at, the system's at now?
Everything is up and running, and now that we have all of your profiles launched, then we can't do those test bookings anymore. So we have been doing test bookings that are $1, so that we're not charged $100 every time we try to test everything out.
Okay.
Yep. So so if you want to do a test booking, let me say it this way, maybe do it in the next couple of days, and you'll only be charged $1.
When it's up and running, how far in advance do we know that a slot is filled?
Good question. So the short answer is we're asked. So in the FAQs, it says, please give your mediator at least a day or so advance notice. I forget what we say, 24 hours or something. But the fact of the matter is, if somebody comes to the website Wednesday at 9, then they see that you're free Wednesday afternoon, they might send you an email and say, hey, by any chance, could we mediate this afternoon? And you'll get a text, you'll get an email, and they can call you. And if you say, no, I'm not free, that's too soon, then absolutely, they are free to schedule another time. But I'm just giving you the heads up. I don't see it happening, but there is that possibility that somebody might see, oh, they're free in a few hours. I wonder if by any chance we could solve this now. We requested that people wait 24 hours, but they might still try to contact you and see if you're available sooner than that.
So maybe I missed this, but how am I informed that somebody has booked my Monday at 9 o'clock?
So you'll receive a text, you'll receive an email as soon as somebody books. And then as soon as the payment is processed, you'll receive a confirmation of that, another text and another email.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm sorry, again, we have the kind of two meetings crashing here.
Yeah,
I think
we
as
should end
new
this.
people join and they hear us talking about Mediation Express, they may be a little confused.
Sure.
So maybe it would be prudent for us to kind of wrap this one up, and we can schedule another time that's just for all of us, and it won't back up against another meeting. But are there any final comments or questions that we want to make? I think Ethan's going to join in here in a minute as well. So I'm probably going to take him into a breakout room to chat with him for just a minute or two before we get started. But any other thoughts or comments or questions? Ken, please.
Question for Clara is, you were working on an FAQ for us.
Mhm.
Did you finish that?
Yes.
Where can I find it at?
Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to send it in this chat again because we have a lot of other people showing up. Let me just send it via email.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder. Great.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.